Hello and welcome back to Bricking It. Today we're making Hufflepuff's common room. Now this base is split into two parts because it goes underneath the Great Hall and it needs a hinge at this point. So although it's going to be one solid room, it is going to be constructed in two separate parts. This bit being inside the common room, here's the doorway, and that's going to be the hallway outside. So we're going to start off with the doorway. And if we know anything about Hufflepuff's common room, and we don't know a lot, it's that the door is made from a stack of barrels. You need to rap on the barrels to the tune of Helga Hufflepuff. So we're just putting in these curved slopes to hold our barrels in position. And they're going to sit here, in this spot, and that's no good. So instead we're going to take this plate and we're actually going to attach our barrels onto this 6x6 plate. This is going to form our doorway. Barrels are quite easy. Take a 2x2 round plate and we're going to pop one of these short axles into that plate, and using the axle we're going to reverse the stud direction so that our 2x2 round brick will sit studs outwards, and we want that so that we can use this 2x2 reddish brown plate on the top to finish off our barrel. Now this is finished off with the barrel head sticker that came in the Hufflepuff banner, and you can see I may have bought one or two of those sticker sheets. I'm just going to completely cover this with our barrels. So there we go. That's going to be our exterior doorway into the Hufflepuff common room. Now that we've got them attached to that plate, that'll sit nicely in by these sort of inverted arches. Just so we don't have weird holes in the middle, I'm going to stick these gold telescope pieces in so it looks like there's some kind of barrel rack holding everything up, because obviously they would sit offset if they were actually stacked together, and we can't do that with Lego. So we'll just make it look like they're all racked up. And that'll sit there. So that's going to be the exterior of our doorway. On the inside though, we're going to make it look like a normal door. Now, Hufflepuff's common room is supposed to be a round room. So I'm just going to curve off the corner of the room a bit there with some cheese slopes. And then for the door itself, I'm just using these tiles. We've got 1x1 plate with a round gold tile for the doorknob, and that's going to be our door on the inside. So obviously this is not an operating door, it's just purely decorative. It's just going to sit onto the plates there. Now this isn't actually held in at all. Once we build the wall frame around it, it will be stopped from floating away. But if the studs weren't there on the floor, that could easily slide in and out of that slot and be a functional doorway. And because my Hufflepuff common room is actually attached to the kitchens at the back, I need to add a couple of hinges in. Just going to build up this wall, and rather than make it a solid wall, because you can actually see in from the side here and you can actually see this nice entranceway we've just created, I'll make it a little archway. Again, another one of these hinges just to attach to the kitchens. These are quite tall, so they're literally just held together with the tiles. Here's the other side. Just going to pop a torch on there for a bit of decoration. Now, I was going to make this just 4 wide, but I actually want to be able to see the ends of those barrels. Spent all that time building them, I want to be able to see them. So I'm going to step this back. So a tunnel's going to be an odd width across. On the common room side, I'm actually going to use these wood or reddish brown supports to replicate wood. I'm just going to rebuild up on this side and continue that arch. Nothing particularly interesting about this little bit of wall. It does leave us with a gap between those arches. We're going to fill those in with a plate momentarily. And you can see our door just being stopped by those studs on the floor. Once we've got decoration in, that's really not going to be able to go anywhere. Those bookcases are holdover from the previous Hufflepuff build. It's really the house badge we want on display inside the common room. And we're going with reddish brown at the end for another one of these supports. So we're starting to get an idea of the rounded shape around here, and then these bricks here adding to the round appearance. The other extra plate going in to just support our hallway arches a little better. Now we're going to start boxing in the door across the top. So, as well as actually holding the door down into the space, just going to pop a painting on here so that's displayed in the hallway. This actually is going to be a level that where we start bringing in a shelf, because part of the description of the Hufflepuff common room is that there are shelves all the way around with plants and flowers all over. Little clock in there for a bit more detail. Make sure everyone's on time for class. So once we've boxed in this little bit of roof, we can then start adding in a shelf, and this shelf will be curved and it will help us to really mark out the round appearance, or the rounder appearance of the room. Just need a few extra supporting pieces in just to stabilize this wall a little bit. And this round brick is going to start delineating the area of our wall. Just going to put a brown one just underneath it, and that's going to start giving us our shelf. Now our shelf's only going to be one stud sticking out from the wall all the way round, and I really did want it to track with the corners of the room. Had a bit of a problem in that once I'd put all the detail on the shelves, you really couldn't tell that there's round bricks behind it anyway. But I did want to go for the round sort of hobbit hole kind of aesthetic that the Hufflepuff common room has got in its description on the website. You can use one of these on the top in dark tan just to tie in the top of the build. So you're not really going to see the back of the wall as usual. You can see it once you open up to look into the kitchens, but you're really looking at the kitchens at that point rather than the back of this build. Just going to bridge across here. Now as we have a module on top, that being the Great Hall, that wasn't careful. We do need to make sure there's enough support so that the Great Hall, the front of the Great Hall module doesn't sag. So we're just going to extend this rafter all the way out to the front of the module, just to ensure that there's plenty of support in that front corner of the Great Hall. So that's the main infrastructure of the first half of our common room. Going to mirror it on the other side, using again one of these constructions. And you can see that it gives us a viewing angle that's kind of rounded off on both sides. Problem with Lego is that making curved walls is possible, but it takes up a lot of space. So when we're trying to be economical with the amount of studs we use in construction, we really need to just give the impression of roundness. The last few bits of base to fill in, because these are actually going to be underneath the fireplace. This corner of the build is going to be where we build the fireplace. And it's going to be a rounded fireplace. It's got one of these 4x4 curved tiles. Just using these little candle flames into our 1x1 plate with a hole in the top. Pop a few of these in just to give the our fire effect. Now we need to put a little barrier in front of the fire. You can use reddish brown as the fire detail. We've got a few of these scroll type pieces. Got one of those taps built into the snot brick. And here we've got one of these sort of T-bars again into a 1x1 plate with a hole in. Once we bring in the side of our fireplace build, those kind of tap pieces on the edge will blend with that T-bar and we'll get a bit of a fire surround. It gives quite a nice little mantelpiece look. It does say that the Hufflepuff fire is quite ornate and well decorated, so I decided to go for that look. Just going to finish that off again with another one of these curved plates on top, this time in reddish brown to match the wood at the fireplace. Just going to pop another little bit of decoration on the front here. And of course our curved wall behind, just to bring that all up to the same kind of look. So we want our shelf to carry on all the way around, so we're going to use exactly the same method. We've got some regular plate just sticking out one stud from the wall, and one of these curved plates just to bring it around the corner. Now we talk about these high up rounded windows that Hufflepuff Common Room has. So I added one of those, but again it's going to be largely obscured once we put all the plant detailing up on this shelf going around the top. A couple of snot bricks on this part, just so we can start adding some decoration to the walls as well. Once we bring this last piece in here, it's going to be our walls decorated. So on these I'm just going to put a placeholder piece for the moment. That's where in the fullness of time my Helga Hufflepuff portrait is going to go. And we've got a house coat of arms just below that. And on these two studs over here, put a famous Hufflepuff with a Newt Scamander portrait that came from the Hufflepuff house banner. So there we go, we've got a nice rounded look now. Round shelf, round walls, round supports. Just makes it look nice and cozy and well rounded. I've decided for the seating in Hufflepuff, I'm going to put benches in at the back. One, to make use of these quite nice quilted stickers. But also it gives sort of like a nice sort of friendly feeling, everyone mucking in together on these nice cushioned benches. Got a lamp to go in the corner. I've already changed this one for a glow in the dark brick on the top, because I do like to have something glowing in each of my modules for no good reason, just because it's become a kind of a thing that I do now. That's quite a nice bench. We'll start adding some students shortly, but first we need our snack table. So this is largely based on the one that was in the Hufflepuff house banner. I've filled in the centre with a regular 2x2 dark orange plate. Just going to build it up with these kind of wedge plates. And of course we're going to bring in our plate full of cookies to sit in the middle. That's nicely centered, and it just bridges that gap so that we can open and close the unit as needed. So now it's time to bring in our plants for that Hufflepuff feeling. So most of the plant elements of this are not very plant-like at all, because really all you're going to see is the foliage once it's up on the shelf. We're just using whatever we can, some of those action pieces and snot bricks, just to get those plant pieces at interesting angles. Just going to fill in a bit of the space around this one, just using a couple of these stalk pieces. You can cover up that bare wall a bit more by moving that one across. Now over here we're actually going to end up obscuring this window. It's a very similar sort of build to what I had in Herbology, just these 3-leaf pieces into a small branch or limb element. Got it attached to a headlight brick this time. A couple of flowers in there as well, and this is just going to sit, as you can see, those leaf elements just some above, some below that shelf. That hold it nicely, stop it drooping down onto the minifigs and obscuring that photo, or painting rather. That's the first half. Again, another very simple bit of foliage. Got a snot brick and a headlight brick, each with a leaf piece and a couple of red flowers in, just to add a little bit more colour. Very simple one of these action stands on a 1x1, just with simply a flower stuck into the end of it. And here on the curve, you use one of these very old flower stems, just a ridiculous number of stems, so we just shoved as many flower 1x1s on there as we possibly can. Pop that in here. And just on this last bit of shelf here, where we've got the clock, we're going to again completely obscure a piece of detail we've already put in by adding more plants. Just going to have one of these vine pieces. It creeps out in front of the clock. There we go, that's our flowers. It's another one of the main signature elements of the Hufflepuff common room. It's really starting to look quite comfortable now with all those snacks and plants. All those quite rich colours with the yellow and the dark orange. Going to put a tasting cup here next to the barrels. There's no use bringing out a barrel of mine if it's gone off, so we need to have a little taste before we get it out. It's just a nice little extra bit of detail. And here we can add the first of our Hufflepuff minis. We've got Justin Finch Fletchley about to wrap on the barrels and gain access to the common room. Cedric Diggory, of course. Now, he was in a Quidditch uniform, but we've got my Cedric in Quidditch uniform in my Quidditch team, so I've just popped him in a set of robes. Hannah Abbott. She was in the Hufflepuff house banner. Oh, sorry, Justin. Back up on his jumper. There we go, and this last bit of space, just built a very simple chair using some brackets and tiles. Definitely going to replace those cheese slopes, they're just far too sharp. And Susan Bones is sitting in the chair. So there we go. Common room not much bigger than most of the other modules. Roughly 8x16, I might give them an extra stud to play with. Then we've got that nice hallway scene. And just to finish it off and make use of that rafter at the front, just going to put one of these inverted radar dishes. So we've got a little lamp hanging from the ceiling. There we go, you can see our entrance and our common room here. So thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave us a like. Leave any comments you might have down below. And if you'd like to see more Hogwarts interior mock builds, then please subscribe to Bricking It. Bye bye.